This is the On the Pony Express podcast, hosted by Billy Embody, brought to you by Epic Estate Wines. Walking strong on the Pony Express, a weekly segment with SMU alum, owner, vintner of Epic Estate Wines, Bill Armstrong. Epic Estate Wines, world-class wines from Paso Robles wine country. Learn more, Epic, EPOCH, epicwines.com. And now your host. Billy Embody.
1, 2, 3, let me go.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Walking Strong with Bill Armstrong. I'm Billy Embody. We're virtual this week on this.
Oh man, my podcast partner. I can't just do a virtual high five with you somehow. You know, just listen. I wish we were together. I'm actually at my ranch and taking care of some business out here, and been traveling again as usual. And I am psyched. I'm psyched for this week in football. I was psyched to have the beginning of the season, which was really fun. But I'm also psyched. Let's start with our rosé. You want to?
Yes.
The wine of the week this week is it right? Where is it? Is rosé, Epic rosé, and this is actually perfect right now because it's about 10:30 here.
Yeah.
It was going to be apropos to Saturday, right? When we're having an early game against Baylor. And this is the wine we're drinking for the Baylor game. And this thing never disappoints. You know what they're saying out there, that real men drink pink. And that's true. You know, you think of it as kind of a porch pounder, you know, blah, blah. No. This is a legit, fantastic wine. We modeled it after the wines of the Southern Rhone Valley near Provence, and I can guarantee you this one a couple years ago. Our rosé was rated the number one rosé in the world. So I mean, this is a really, really good stuff. And the problem with the rosé is you won't be able to keep it in stock because once you have it, you want to keep opening it. We can't even keep. It sells out in super fast. So anyway, perfect for that morning game against Baylor.
And perfect when you pick it up in the Pony Express case, which you can get at epicwines.com/pony. And great way to also stay in the know on our events as well that we got going on. We've got our big Friday night dinner we're doing here in Dallas, Bill. We've got a Saturday morning tailgate starting bright and early, 8 a.m. You know, 10:30 is nothing compared to what Saturday is going to be. And look, the weather looks like it's going to be great too. So tons of fun.
What is the weather like? Low 80s kind of deal, or what is it?
Yeah, as Rhett said this week at his press conference, he was like, "I'll believe it when I see it when it's September and in the 80s." But it's looking good. Fingers crossed, rain stays away, unlike last week. But we're gonna be in good shape.
Although I gotta say, the rain, I think, scared some people away from the boulevard.
Yeah,
but it was a really good test of our new field.
Yes,
and it held. I mean, it drained perfectly. There was no muddy spots. I mean, it was really done. It was really awesome, I thought. So,
yeah. And walking around on the field after the game, it was just like fine. Like there was no like spongy wetness to it. It was great. So
it was a golf course.
It was
a golf course.
Exactly.
All right. Well, listen. You want to talk about the game real quick?
Let's go with the pregame, man. Like you were down there with Eric Dickerson.
Oh my God,
Crochet was there.
I mean, James Crochet was there. Eric was there.
Brandon Stevens.
Brandon was there, and we have our mostly new Palm squad. They were amazing. You know what? Of all the things I've ever done for SMU, I think the thing that it probably gives me the most impact is the redoing the entire Spirit program, because they have become quite literally like you need to be in the stadium to celebrate with the gals getting ready for the game, because it's a show. I mean, it is a show, and it feels Dallas Cowboy-esque in the way it gets pulled off, and then the way they come into the stadium, the players now, it's a lot of pageantry. It's good. It's awesome.
Yeah. And it's like the fireworks that they added to the pregame show. I mean, there were fireworks, going off, and there's fire and, smoke and all this stuff, but they really took it to another level for this year. So a good first intro for this season. And look, James Prochet shot off the fireworks right before the team
he's
came
so
out.
great. I mean, tell you, how great is Prochet?
The best. Bringing his grandmother really out there.
Yeah, had his grandma there, had his uncle there, and had his, it was just family. And he's looking he's very handsome. Liz was saying that James Prochet. No, does that sound weird right now?
No. I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing.
I mean, Liz is saying, like, man, he's just aging. He had the glasses, and he's just getting that kind of wise look about him. And I don't know what Prochet is going to be once he gets out of the NFL. He's either going to be a passer or a coach. That's kind of a fine line sometimes because he's so good with both. And I can totally see him coming back to SMU and working with the receivers. But Eric Dickerson is in a super great place. By the way, our suite, my wife threw a party in our suite, and I went up there very briefly because it was just a full-on party. And I'm like, I got to watch the game.
Get nervous. You want to be kind of left alone normally.
Oh, I know. Just leave me alone. Leave me alone. I just want to walk the game and, do that and whatnot. So anyways, let's talk about the game. There is no way we were looking so past East Texas A&M. I mean, I don't care what people say.
They were playing with their food.
They're playing with their food.
Moving it around the plate, I know.
I mean,
a little bit here and there.
You start off with that fabulous first drive, with culminating in the Brinson flip in the end zone. And, I've had so many people call me, write me, text me, and they say, "Oh my God, aren't you nervous because we look sloppy?" And I'm thinking, well, first and foremost, just think about last year against Nevada. I mean, that was sloppy.
Talk about needing the wine.
Let's talk about needing the wine. But I mean, let's face it. Last year, I was super nervous after that first game in Nevada. We were in Reno, and it was shitty weather, and I'm like, we barely showed up, and we won barely.
Yeah.
Fourth quarter, second half of the fourth quarter comeback. I was sitting there thinking we may not be that good. I was thinking, we could be. I was like buying the hype prior to that, but then I was like, so I want to put that in perspective for this game. I mean, come on, it was East Texas A&M. I mean, most people can't even find it on a map. I mean, the kids seemed great. They worked their ass off. They played hard. The A&M kids, and but at the end of the day, we outclassed them, and they knew it. And I just don't think our guys really showed up. I mean, it was, knocking the rust off. I thought KJ played great. I thought our running backs showed flashes of what they can be, but we hardly included the tight ends the entire game. I think the coaching staff kept the playbook ostensibly in their pocket.
Yeah.
And because why would you want to go show Baylor what you can do when you're playing East Texas A&M and you can, like you said, play with their food?
Yeah. It's now something that, all right, if SMU goes on and beats Baylor, it was okay. That was maybe the right wake up. I'm sure Rhett Lash is happy that his team had a bunch of things to work on after game one versus everybody patting you on the back. Okay, 59-0, type of a win. They have things to work on. They have things that they can focus on and try to improve on. And I don't want to say you want to be in that position every week, but that is what Rhett has really built this program on, is going out and fixing things and getting better each week and developing. I mean, for the most part, the last 2 years, it's been hard to argue that they haven't done that when they've kind of been pushed back a little bit. And in a way, they were kind of pushed back on Saturday, and now they have a chance to show, okay, you can put together a good week of practice. You can come out and you can beat a Baylor team that you haven't beat since the 80s.
Has it been since the 80s that we beat those guys?
There's only been 13 tries at it. Mm-hmm. And over the course of how long, the desert wandering was going on, that's not.
Oh, that was so long. I damn near killed me. It was so bad.
You were in school the last time SMU beat Baylor.
Well, yeah. And I was talking to Mike Ford on the Boulevard, And I asked him, we were bullshitting, and I said, my favorite, we always talk about the Pony Express. We always talk about this, that, and the other thing. My favorite game of all the time I was at SMU, it was when SMU went to Baylor, and it was the fourth quarter. Why am I zooming in and out? Is that
You're good. You're good. Just lean into it. Lean into it.
Oh, wow. Lean in. I was talking to Mike Ford, and I said the best drive for the whole time I was at SMU was that 99.5-yard drive to finish the third quarter on the road in Waco, and we outscored them by 28 points in that fourth quarter, and it was unbelievable. So I do have a very fond memory of that one Baylor game. But let's talk about Baylor real quick. I don't want to dwell on East Texas A&M. My heart goes out to Kilgore and to Jay Hudd. I mean, Jay Hudd announced our podcast last week, and think about it. These guys are looking to put out their best look for going pro. So this is, and then both of them get injured on these fluky deals. Here's the good news. Neither one of them are season ending. It may be 3 weeks, it may be 6 weeks, but they'll be back. But there was a little bit of a high price to pay, in the East Texas A&M game. I mean, really,
that was. If you're SMU, you'd rather be in a Wake Forest or Wake Forest versus Kennesaw State where you win 10-9 and keep guys healthy than
that.
I mean, trade that all day.
You can't. It's easy to forget last year, but we had injuries last year. I mean, we lost RJ.
Yep. Jake
Bailey. I mean, so everybody's hitting the panic button. We had multiple injuries last year. Every team has injuries. Yep. And so I just say, let's just deep breath it, chill out, and let's get ready for Baylor, because the season starts Saturday when you get right down to it. And it really doesn't start Saturday because it doesn't really matter that we beat Baylor. The season starts when we start our conference games. So our next 3 games, Missouri State, and then those jerks up in Fort Worth. The season starts when you really want to get down to it after that. But obviously we want to make a statement about our old Southwest Conference rivals, because I really do wish we'd play Fort Worth, TCU for forever. And I wouldn't even mind playing Baylor here and there going forward, because it's a regional rivalry and it's great. And even though those fucknuts kept us out of the Big 12, they did.
Yeah, I know.
It was the ugly stepsisters, and Baylor was one of them. Now, she wasn't the ugliest of the stepsisters. That was TCU. But Baylor was an ugly stepsister, and it was pathetic that they did what they did to us. And so, we have plenty of reasons to get mad at them, whatever. I feel sorry for them. They have to live in Waco, for God's sakes. I mean,
Waco's pretty tough. I mean,
it's pretty tough.
You'd rather live in Fort Worth, and that's saying something.
It really is saying something. Oh my God!
Okay. We got some good friends of the show that are over there.
9 choices out of 10, you're going Fort Worth over Waco. Just full stop.
Yeah.
I mean, every time I drive down, I-35, and I drive through Waco, and I see that gigantic, field.
Like a toilet.
It looks like a toilet. It does. It just looms.
It's like either a spaceship if you like it, or it's a toilet bowl if you are on the other side, outside of the Baylor fan. But this is the game that I look at and I say, okay, the ACC had a really good weekend last week for the most part. Yeah. Outside of North Carolina and outside of Clemson, everybody kind of held up their end of the bargain. Florida State made a huge statement. There's not pressure on SMU to do this because of what they did last year, but for Baylor and TCU, that's kind of where the pressure is. I feel like, hey, hold up your end of the bargain for the ACC, because the ACC gets unnecessarily ridiculed for, at times just how they've played in some of these matchups. And in week 1, they held up their end of the bargain. Now it's SMU's turn.
No kidding, man. I mean, really, other than Belichick and his girlfriend laying an egg against TCU, because LSU is a really good team, and and them playing Clemson, that was a close game. So it was, Florida State just put a ass whooping on Alabama.
Yep.
And we know how good the Florida State quarterback is because he kicked our ass in the Wasabi Bowl. The guy is really, really good. And it's amazing the resurgence. I got to give them credit for just a complete reset. And that was just great for the ACC. I mean, Georgia Tech with a nice win. I mean, it was Miami beating Notre Dame. Are you kidding me? I mean, that was all these are big for the ACC. And you're right. We want to hold court. We want to hold court as SMU and to keep our bona fides up for the ACC.
Well, and coming at home. I mean, it's going to be packed. It's going to be electric in Ford Stadium on Saturday, 11 a.m. I mean, bright and early. I think the early kickoff helps SMU. They like to get up and play. They don't.
I agree with that. In fact, the team was bugging me, not bugging me. They were talking to me about the 8:00 game, against East Texas A&M. They said it just felt like it was like forever that day, but before they play. You want to just get up, you want to walk the boulevard, you want to get on your cleats, and you want to go play. And so, but I should have said this when we were talking about the game. Boy, did our students show up big or what?
Record setting.
I mean, they said it was over 75% of the undergraduates were at the game.
That's crazy.
And they were
a school that does that. Not many.
None. It was unbelievable.
And
they were partying their butts off, and this is right in the middle of rush too. So there was a big distraction going on, particularly for the females, to get to the game because their sorority rush was in full throttle, and yet they were there. I mean, would you have ever guessed that we could sell out a game against East Texas A&M? If I would have told you 3 years ago that we would sell out against a school that nobody's ever heard of, I would have said we've made it.
I completely agree with you. That's a great point.
I mean, why would I say we've already made it because we have come so far. When in the old days, when we were bad, when we were walking through the desert, we couldn't sell out a Texas game.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I mean, it was just like, but now we're selling out. Little Sisters of the Poor. Yeah. and it's an event. It's a game. It's everything.
It's a party.
It's a party. The Boulevard was shockingly dead for typical Boulevard because of all the rain. It had 1.5 inches of rain earlier in the day.
Yeah,
I feel sorry for the maintenance man who has to take care of the Boulevard because no sooner has you finally got green grass growing on a boulevard. Here comes the mud.
Yep.
And then the fraternity sorority row up there in front of Dallas Hall was reasonably dead because of rush. And so it wasn't your typical. I know, by the way, I know I'm all over the map here like I always am. I got to give Damon Evans and Jay Hartzell massive snaps they worked the crowd. I mean, they were going from suite to suite, making sure they shook hands with everybody. It was like they were running for mayor. I mean, it was great. I mean, it was awesome. And, some previous presidents and previous athletic directors didn't do that. And I always felt like you're missing an opportunity here. Here's the tried and true donor class and potentially future board class of SMU. There's your time to go press the flesh. And our new provost, Rachel Mercy, wasn't there at the game because it was her birthday and she was in Vegas, which whatever happens in Vegas, Rachel, don't tell me. But I love that about him, that those two were doing that, and it was great. And I know that the fans appreciated it. So let's go back to Baylor because we have a very, very special guest coming on with us that we're going to interview here in about 5 minutes. And I cannot tell our dozens of fans how excited I am for this next guest. It's going to rock your world, everybody, because it is something that is like we're going international.
Yeah,
we're going big time.
We're going international waters with this one.
Yeah, and I think you guys are going to say what, and if you don't know who he is, you're going to love him because he's arguably one of the most important people in our country right now. So Baylor didn't look very good against Auburn.
No.
I mean, anytime a team puts up 300 yards of rushing against you, that's a pretty much an ass whipping.
Yeah.
And that's what Auburn put on Baylor. I was pretty surprised that Baylor didn't show better. I had higher expectations. Now, I don't know. Do you know how good Auburn is?
Auburn is one of the handful of teams in the country this year that most people are in all of this is going to work and they're going to be really good, or they're going to be like, some people are still saying, well, you got to kind of see it to believe it or whatever. It was Baylor, So Auburn though has a lot of talent. Talent is not the issue there. You saw it up front in the defensive line. They were able to get after Sawyer Robertson and kind of knock him around. Sawyer still had a really good day throwing the football. But then you look at, how they stopped the run, and Baylor really, leaned on the run game a lot and was expected to going into this year. But then the Baylor defensive, side of the ball was just completely run through by an Auburn team that, had a lot of wide receiver talent. Baylor kind of said, hey, if you're going to beat us, you're going to have to run the ball. And Auburn just ran it right down their throat. And
oh my God, it was like 7.5 yards per carry.
And there were times during the game where Hugh Freeze, I was watching it, and then you see like a couple passes in a row, and you're like, oh boy, they're getting away from the run. Like, what are they doing? It was easy. It was shooting fish in a barrel for them running the football. So SMU didn't show a lot of running with Kevin. They didn't show, I think, any of their kind of exotic runs. They didn't show a lot of the things that we saw at times last year. So there's a lot in the bag for SMU to at least play with there going into that game.
I totally agree with you there. I guess what I'm indirectly saying is I'm not really sure what to expect. We're 2.5. We're a 2.5 point favorite at home against Baylor, which, let's face it, that's essentially a pick'em game. Because don't you get a 3-point edge by being at home? Some version of that.
Yep.
So it's essentially a coin toss, and I would probably say that. I just don't think we know enough yet about SMU's team this year, and I don't think we know enough about Baylor's team this year.
Yeah, you're going to find out like all sorts of answers on Saturday, and there's a way that Baylor wins, and there's a way that SMU wins, and I think SMU's is pretty pronounced. Like they can run the ball from what it seems like. They have Kevin Jennings. They are going to be able to do some of the things that they normally do offensively, but if they don't, they're going to be in trouble if they turn the ball over at key situations, if they throw red zone turnovers. Those are all things that really SMU can't do if they want to beat Baylor. And in the past, they've been able to kind of move through those things and win these games at home in particular. Like Kevin Jennings as a starter is undefeated at home. That BYU game was a mess, but you wonder if he had been the starter, if it goes differently. But
well, I think it does go differently. And by the way, can I just make a absolute love you man to Preston Stone, who had the most inauspicious, really tough, incredibly hard to watch opening game for Northwestern.
Yeah.
And I was quite literally tears in my eyes watching him. Yes, he had no time to throw. He had receivers that couldn't catch the ball. And he's probably so used to throwing to the Moochies of the world, that are fast. All of a sudden you're at Northwestern and you got a guy running a 5.1 40.
Yeah.
There's no way to get the ball in there. And he just got his butt handed into him. And I texted him right after the game, and it was just one of those things. He's still a Mustang in my head, even though he's at Northwestern. And so you mentioned the Baylor game, and that's where that was where the final decision was made to switch over to KJ. Of course, there was no second guesses of that last year. But you're right. If we played KJ last year against Baylor, we might have gone.
BYU might have got.
What did I say, Baylor? Yeah, I'm sorry.
We're locked. You're locked in. You're locked in.
I am so locked in. My ankles are already taped. My cleats are getting laced up.
You have eligibility.
I can't believe Rest hasn't called me yet. But by the way, and I know we're waiting for Matt Whitaker to come on. I was just texting with Scott Natty. Scott Natty's home with freaking COVID.
What?
Yes.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So he's laying in bed feeling
win one for Natty. Is that
win one? Not the Gipper, but for Natty. I mean, it's like, yeah, I was texting him and he's like, going, dude, I am at home in bed.
No.
Yeah, he goes, I have COVID. I have it. And he said he's past the worst of it. But I always think of COVID as a thing of the past. And he's like, really?
He's a Renaissance man. So
he is a Renaissance man. So, well, listen, I'm excited about Saturday. It's going to be a blast. Make sure everybody gets there on the boulevard at 8 a.m.
Yep.
Because we have rosé all day. We have our Epic booth, or whatever you want to. What do you call it on the boulevard?
The boulevard spot 39 next to Bo's, right there in the middle. The whole staff is coming in. They're gonna be pouring it up. We've got, I think, over 200 people registered. So at least it's and we saw what happened last year at Stanford. It's going to be a zoo. So make sure you get there early. They'll be starting to pour at 8 a.m., I believe. So, and it's really true. It is the breakfast of champions. It is absolutely the best thing you can have for breakfast. And I'm trying to get it right. Because it gets the game rolling. And then when you're in the game, you're like, come on, Bears. Let's we're gonna kick we're gonna kick your butt, you Bears. You know, the bad news Bears. So it's gonna be great, and it's gonna be so much fun. I do think, you get there early enough, and then you can go into the stadium early enough to see the pageantry, to see the spirit program, to see the fireworks, all the stuff that it's becoming not a 3.5 hour game. Yeah. It's becoming an all day event. Yep. And that is the beauty of what we are doing. And I absolutely love it. So without any further ado, should we throw it to our guest?
Yes. Is he here?
He's not here, but we could throw it to him and then send it, once he's here.
All right. So why don't we throw it to our guest, our special guest. I will introduce him as the ambassador to NATO.
Pretty big deal.
Former Attorney General Matt Whitaker. Yeah. And he is living in Brussels. So he's calling us from Brussels. And the dude is quite literally on the front lines of whatever's happening in Europe right now, which, it could be the beginning of World War III, who knows. But great dude. He loves football, played tight end for Iowa. So that's the connection that he and I have. We've met in other things, more political things, but we gravitated to sports, and he heard that we had this podcast, and he said, dude, I want on your podcast. So
we're looking forward to talking football. We're going to get his take on all of those things, and kind of similar-ish to a Drew Bledsoe last year. He's a big wine guy. He's was talking with his assistant to set this up, and he said he's got a good collection of California Reds out there. So maybe looking forward to doing this live and in person one day. But for now, Bill, we should throw it over to our interview with Matt Whitaker. Let's do it.
I love it. Let's do it.
Now, we're really, really excited to be joined by, like Bill said, leading up to this, one of the most important people in the United States of America right now. Bill, take it away and introduce our guest.
I love it. I can't believe we have Matt Whitaker, the NATO ambassador, on our podcast. Yeah. And Matt and I have become really good friends over the last year or two. And you guys may know Matt as a former attorney general. And he now is ambassador to NATO, which, by the way, Matt, if there was ever a time to be the ambassador to NATO, I cannot think of a better guy than you to be there right now, because there is a whole hell of a lot going on in Europe.
Well, I'm excited to do this. This is going to be fun because you promised we could talk about college football. I spend all day, every day talking about war and peace and, providing weapons and selling weapons and getting Europeans to bear more of the burden of the traditional defense of the European continent. So anytime I can talk about football, I'm all game.
I love it. Well, as the people can see on the screen here, this is kind of the bald man's convention. Matt and I clearly have. Matt, God made very few perfect heads, and so you have to show them off. You just can't just sit around and like hide them under a hat or under a bunch of hair. So anyway,
grass doesn't grow on a busy street is what I always say.
That's exactly right. So anyway, let me tell our dozens of fans why Matt and I have connected. We were first connected up initially through kind of indirectly through politics, but we immediately kind of gravitated to football. And it turns out that Matt was a legendary high school athlete in Iowa. So born in Des Moines.
Have you start writing my press releases, Bill?
Yeah. I am on this, baby. You were born
He's a hype man.
Born in 1979 in Des Moines.
69, but I'm 10 years younger now.
I'm sorry.
This is getting better as we speak.
My brain. I've got Baylor coming up this weekend, and I'm thinking about that right now.
Yeah, you should be. That's an important game.
So he was legendary high school athlete. In fact, he is in the Iowa High School Hall of Fame, which that's very cool. So you went to the Hawkeyes, played. You need a hat like this. This Mustangs are great again. That's kind of our MAGA hat. But if you had a Hawkeyes are great again, Haga hat, this doesn't sound right. I don't know.
Hawkeyes have always been great since Hayden Fry showed up in the late 70s.
Okay, well,
that's the connection.
Yeah, that is a great connection because he was at SMU for 10 years.
Yep.
And then he made it to eventually to Iowa. What was it like playing underneath Hayden Fry?
Oh, well, I mean, he's a Hall of Fame legendary coach. Really an icon. Sort of the old school football coach. He had been in the Marines, studied psychology. He's a quarterback, so very offensive minded, innovative. We always had every single game we played in, he had a trick play that we implemented that week and then executed oftentimes to great success. In fact, we ran a fake field goal in my sophomore year at Illinois and scored a touchdown. I scored a touchdown because he was always willing to take risks. In today's modern football game, with sort of the it's all data driven. It's all, outcomes based. It's all, you sort of can't take any risk. Got to protect the ball. It's a throwback. It's old school. It was wide open, moving the ball down the field, taking big risks, with huge plays. It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun playing football for him.
Well, he changed the way football is played in the Big Ten. I mean, you come from Iowa. Iowa, for all of you people out there that don't know, is referred to as tight end U.
Yeah.
And I think it was Hayden Fry that brought that kind of mentality of using the tight end.
Everybody in Texas knows that, Bill.
No,
come on. It's tight end U. You say tight end U, it's University of Iowa Hawkeyes.
Oh, you know what? As we have probably the best tight end tandem in all of football and college football right now with Matt Hibner and RJ Maryland. And so, but going back to Iowa, you guys have been cranking out tight ends. So all right, let me just add, you're a stud in high school. You moved down the road. You didn't go to Ames to go to Iowa State. You went to Iowa City. What did you run the 40 in those days? What was your time? What were your stats? What did you weigh? What did you run your 40 in?
So
did you have hands or what?
My height, I literally, the day of weigh-in before my senior year of football, I went to Dairy Queen, got a chocolate shake, and I weighed just a hair over 200 pounds. Ran a 4.69, 4.65 40. Was a high hurdler in high school. Played baseball, basketball, obviously football. And then I went to the University of Iowa. My freshman year, I was 240 pounds. Ended up my senior year playing at about 250. My position coach changed 3 times while I was there, and each one came in and said, "Oh, we want you to gain weight or lose weight." But I ended up my senior year about just a little under 250.
Oh, which
is about where I am now, if you believe me.
Well, not
that's different places, but
yeah. What the run of tight ends for Iowa? Dallas Clark, Laporta. I mean, it's rolling.
George Kittle has to be mentioned.
George Kittle, T.J. Hawkinson.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got all these guys that have lived on my fantasy football team.
Amazing, tight ends.
How's it been, being in that fraternity of sorts? That's got to be really cool.
Yeah, well, it's really cool. But it really started, to be honest with you, when I was there. Marv Cook was a senior when I was a freshman. Marv ended up being drafted by the Patriots, was all pro, great guy, good friend. And, Marv sort of was the beginning of tight end U. And then it just, evolved from there. And it's just been almost every single year there's been just a rock star tight end coming from the University of Iowa that has been very built for the NFL. I would have to say I don't put myself in that category. But
you decided to serve your country versus deciding to.
You know what? I think we all show up as freshmen at the University of Iowa. There were 25 of us come in, including Brett Bielema, the head coach at Illinois. We came in as freshmen together, and so many other great guys. And everybody was all state. Everybody was kind of all American. Everybody was really good. I played with a guy named Danon Hughes who played for the Chiefs. And played baseball at the University of Iowa as well. Just, some really, really talented athletes. And you just start to, play. And I played in, a lot of games and, I had 20 catches, 200 yards, a couple touchdowns. It was a college career, right? Many have done better, and many, haven't. But, my experience was, I realized at the University of Iowa that, I had some academic ability, something that I had never explored because I didn't, not that my parents didn't love me and encourage me to do well in school. It just was not rewarded. The football and sports was rewarded. So I'd spent a lot of time on that. And when I got to the University of Iowa and was in a college setting, and I realized that I could do this. And so I ended up graduating 3.5 years from undergrad, and was in, as an undergrad, I was working on my MBA already, instead of a minor in business. Wow. And then decided to go to law school. So my senior year, I was a graduate student getting both a law degree and an MBA.
And that's in a record time. That's in 4 years.
Yeah, and I started with no credits. And so I did it all from starting at zero my freshman year.
Well, and you win the Big Ten Medal of Honor as well.
Yep.
Another pice of hardware there.
Well, the Medal of Honor is being a scholar student athlete. So that's a really big deal. One
per school, and it was cool. Again, it was. I did everything I could with what I had. Obviously, I loved. I'm a locker room guy, so I loved sort of the guys. I loved being on a team. Obviously, playing for Coach Hayden Fry, we had fun. We won a lot of games. My junior year, we were 10-1. Played against Ty Detmer and the BYU Cougars in the Holiday Bowl. Played in the Rose Bowl the year before that. Just really, was just part of some amazing teams. And it was, kind of a golden era of football. And you guys, I'm sure, have covered this on your show. And it's just different now. There's a lot more mobility. We didn't have transfer portals and NILs and all those kind of things that you have to worry about. In modern day football. And so, I had a great time. We had a cohesive group of guys that came in together and, fought and bled together. And so, and we're, in the weight room, it was a great, I can go back, even though it's probably longer than I'd like to admit, I can go back in my mind's eye and still see that and feel that and remember all those great mememories. And Dallas is a great town, but Iowa City is a great college town.
I've never been to Iowa City.
Come on, let's meet there sometime.
What is the population
can't you mediate?
Of Iowa City?
Can't you mediate something here between SMU and Iowa to get it going? I feel like you're the perfect person for this.
Yeah, I would love that.
So we opened the season with Albany, and in typical Iowa fashion, we did really well on defense. Our offense kind of still needs to be tuned up. A big game is that I know we're going to talk about here in a bit is the Iowa State week, which for me, rivalry week was always super important. But we'd love to play the Ponies. That'd be fun.
It would be really fun. We need more Big Ten action, on our end. We're now in the ACC, but we need to reach out, I think, a little bit to kind of the breadbasket.
Are you sure you're ready for the big games
Big noon kickoff.
Come on,
The last two national
big
champions are from the Big Ten. I don't want to say it's the best conference,
Right.
but it's the best conference.
Oh.
I think Iowa State is one of the underrated rivalries nationally, like not talked about enough. And you're playing it so early in the year. How different is that? From when was it always? I think it's been later in the year, in the past. But how are you feeling about the game? And
the game's moved around. Yeah, the game's moved around a little bit. It's typically the second week of the season, and so both teams oftentimes really don't know what they have, and so especially when there's been new coaches in that rivalry. Iowa's had two coaches in the last 40 plus years. We had Hayden Fry, and now we have Kirk Ferentz. Iowa State's had to churn through a few coaches. Matt Campbell, who they've had now for almost a decade, is a great coach, and I figured he would end up going somewhere, but they've kept him happy in Ames. This game for me, I grew up 25 minutes from Cyclone Stadium. My mom's an Iowa State grad, and always had this rivalry from the time I was a child. While I played, we won 5 straight when I was at Iowa, part of a 20 straight years of Hawkeye dominance, and so it's a little lopsided. Now it's much more even. Great game. The University of Iowa, and one of the traditions, in addition to the tight end U, that I think people need to understand about the University of Iowa is, we pride ourselves in kind of toughness and sort of a fist fight in a phone booth is the way it's described. We're going to line up and we are going to see who's tougher. You may win, we may win, but you're going to know you played a football game. That's kind of our style. And Coach Ferentz has really, I think, done a really good job of that. Our offensive line this year is really good and really experienced. We got some good running backs. We've got a transfer quarterback from South Dakota, and he came in with some pretty good hype and had won a lot of games and thrown a lot of passes. I think there were a lot of Hawkeye fans who were concerned after week 1 that maybe and he admitted it. I've read some news on him, and he said he was a little, he had some butterflies and was nervous, and so I think he'll be settled down. And going to Ames, obviously, it's a tough stadium to play in. It'll be a hostile crowd.
What is that like? What is that Iowa State, Iowa? I mean, our big rivalry historically has been TCU, and those wimps have decided to terminate. They
couldn't take it anymore. Yeah,
they couldn't take it anymore. But Iowa State, of course, is in the Big 12, and I was in the Big 10.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter for a conference, but it's for bragging rights in the state, right? So
that matters. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so does it everybody pack into? Is it like hostile, like kind of a OU Texas, or what is it like?
No, I would say it's more like a family reunion where it's a lot of people are neighbors. The rivalry is, again, it is, which side you're on. There's nobody that's on the fence. And what happens is, the stadiums in Ames seats about 65,000 people, and about another 30 or 40,000 people show up just to tailgate. So the environment around the stadium is just extraordinary. And it's early fall in the Midwest, so the weather's usually almost ideal for college football, and it's fun. Ames, the stadium, when we played there, it was just two sides. There were no end zone seats.
Right. Yeah.
And now they've filled it in and made it a louder stadium and a tougher stadium to play in. But at the same time, there'll be a lot of Hawkeye fans there. That's typically in Ames, it's about a 75% Cyclone, 25% Hawkeye, and in Iowa City, it's usually a tougher ticket to get for the opposing team. Usually, you just have the little corner up in the far, northwest end that has the opposing team.
What is it about the Big Ten? They just give people their opposing teams the shittiest locker room and the shittiest seats. It is. I mean, it's famous for it. I've been through before we rebuilt SMU Stadium. I went and looked at a number of the Big Ten stadiums, and it was like when I walked into the opposing locker rooms, like, went, oh my God, it's like it's like a toilet in the middle of the room without even like walls.
Yeah. It complies with all the rules that are required for a visiting team. One of the things Hayden Fry, I mentioned, he was a psychology guy. He was famous for the pink locker room.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
When the pink locker drove Bo Schembechler crazy. He would have somebody hang, brown paper up on all the walls because, and Coach Fry was like, if you're worried about the locker room, you're not thinking about the game.
Yep.
Well, when we redid one of our end zones and made, both locker rooms modern, they still kept that tradition. And so all the toilets and the urinals are all dusty mauve. The walls are painted pink. And it's it's a really kind of fun tradition at the University of Iowa that Coach Ferentz continued from Coach Fry.
I absolutely love all of that, and it's just again. So if you're at Iowa, your big rivals are probably the big boys like Nebraska, Purdue, Wisconsin, Minnesota. I'm thinking.
Purdue's not a rival, and
okay.
No offense to those the engineers that graduated from Purdue, but our main rival once Nebraska joined, certainly Nebraska Iowa is a big rivalry game, and Minnesota and Wisconsin have traditionally been important games. I mean, you always want to test yourself against the big dogs in the two last national championships, Ohio State and Michigan. We give them fits, and Penn State, we give them fits as well. I mean, every time I run into a Penn State fan, they're just like, oh, we hate playing Iowa. It's always
SMU fans can relate there.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But Penn State beat us like a stepchild last year in the college football playoffs. Okay, well, so make a prediction for –
I remember watching that game. I was cheering for you, Bill, even though it was – you were there, though. I mean, you're not – you're not bragging if you did it.
Listen, here's the deal. We had stars in our eyes. We threw 2 pick sixes in the first quarter. It was 20 below, 106,000 people all dressed in white. It was an intimidating situation. And
welcome to the show.
Yeah, welcome to the show. We will not be snuck up on again like we were that time. So
doesn't sound like you were snuck up on. You were just mauled.
No, we were okay. You don't have to keep rubbing it in.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I know you're
just.
We're sitting at home. There's a lot of time to get content and thoughts on that.
We got our asses kicked. Okay,
that's all right.
Let's don't dwell on one bad game.
I agree. No, it was a heck of a season, and you guys have really, I think, stepped into Tier 1 college football. It's extraordinary.
It's amazing. By the way, before we get into the prediction for the Iowa State game, give me in like 10 seconds or less. I really am not a fan of where college football is going with NIL. I don't mind the transfer portal if it can be adjusted a little bit, but the idea that we're moving towards possibly a super league, which is kind of an SEC Big Ten merger, I think is bad for our country in general. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I start from the college football player perspective because if you really want to maintain sort of the reason for intercollegiate athletics, including college football, it's about the student athlete. It's about their education and it's about their ability to compete, against similarly aged and situated students. And so the more and more it looks like minor league football or sort of some semi-pro level, I think that gets away from the whole intent. I mean, the challenge, as you both know, is that college football was bringing in a lot of money. There's a lot of interest in it, and all that was going to facilities and coaches. And that certainly was not fair to the players who were the product that was being sold. And so, I mean, there needed to be some ability for the players to get some benefit from all the revenue that was being generated. And so we ended up in this weird NIL kind of revenue share transfer portal world, and I can't tell you a better way to do it, but at the same time I know it's hurting the product and it's hurting the rivalries, and so it's hard to it takes a couple of weeks to even learn who's on your roster because of all the movement.
It's so true. It really bugs me that we're kind of halfway dissing, kind of the Olympic sports, some of the female sports. I do think it's very important to have the Iowa State Iowa rivalry, the TCU SMU rivalry. I mean, pick it. We can go through all over our country. And when you are talking about maybe making 40 or 50 teams, kind of like you said, a pro minor league, there's still another 110 schools out there that are not being serviced. And these are towns that really rely on college football. This is 110 programs with 100 kids in each that, to some degree, slightly or maybe less, more than slightly, are going to be diminished because of the way we're headed. And I'm super worried about it as in the grand picture. Hopefully somebody will come in. I think it's going to take an act of Congress. I mean, realistically, Matt, to fix this, because when you're just chasing the almighty dollar all the time, it doesn't always have the best benefits. And listen, I've said many times, don't hate the player, hate the game. I don't like the game the way it's going, but I love the players, like you said. I mean, it is so good. Yeah.
And I think one of the things, Bill, that is so important about college sports is, having now spent a few months here in Europe and talked to them about sports, they don't watch college sports. I mean, it's not right. It's because it's not the top tier. It's not the best. I mean, it's some level below talent wise. And, obviously we have the NFL where the best football players are playing every week, but there's just something, and it's more, like you said, it's more than just the game. It is about the players, and it's about each one of these schools and the colors and the pageantry and the tailgating. And that's why we love college football. And it's why, for those 6 or 7, sometimes 8 home games, it's just, it's magical. It's a place for a Saturday afternoon with a family and the friends and have a hot dog and a beer. And it's just, it is the essence of America. And
it really is. It's a big dollar.
That,
it's a big dollar.
When there's a 50, 60 team super conference, with the 2 best conferences merging, that certainly moves away from that. We'll see how it takes shape. It is, unfortunately, there's just billions of dollars right now at stake, and there's always somebody that's willing to figure out a way they can squeeze more money out of it.
It's so true. Anyway, I do think it's it is quite a bit one of the uniters of our country. I really do, college football, and in ways that you're right. People in Europe, where I would hope to see the league go to, if in fact it does go that way, that we can take a page out of Europe. If we could create kind of a Premier League concept where, let's say there is a super conference, let's say 40, 50 teams, but let's say of the 100 schools that are not in that, if they can somehow get, the top schools get relegated down for playing poorly, and then the schools, if you win your conference,
I think what is it called? Relegation. Would be. I think that's a good idea. That I've heard that proposed, and I don't think that's a bad idea. And you could do so then you're right. People would have an ability to develop a team or a program that could compete at that level. I know that you never have to worry about SMU being at that level, though, because they would for sure.
Well, listen, we've already been barely, promoting ourselves, but if we get somehow locked out, any school, let's look at Tulane's a great example right now. They got a really good program.
Mm-hmm.
They're in a lesser conference, and if they had a Premier League type of arrangement where you can get promoted out of, let's say, a group of 5 conference, if you dominate in your conference into, now you're in the new Super League, you've earned it. Yeah. And then let's just say you're a Vanderbilt. Maybe that's probably a bad example. Hey, if you're not earning your Spurs, you need to maybe a Rutgers. You need to go down to a group of 5. I don't know. It just, again, this is all we're playing, moving the ball around. But
right.
Okay, let's talk about the game. Let's talk about the Iowa State. We've already talked. Billy and I have talked about the Baylor game with SMU, and we're a 2.5-point favorite at home against Baylor. So essentially, that's a pick'em game,
right?
I mean, when you get right
on
down
a neutral field, right? Yep.
So Iowa State. By the way, they're good. I think Iowa State is good. They're looked really good early on. They're a 2.5-point favorite. against Iowa, but they're playing at home in Ames. So, what's your prediction for the game? What do you think?
Yeah, well, first of all, I was at the Iowa State-Kansas State game in Dublin a couple of weekends ago, and Iowa State looked good. I mean, Kansas State made a couple tactical, strategic decisions that probably cost them the game. So, Iowa State's got a legit team. They got a good, experienced quarterback. And they're always a matchup nightmare for us because they're the Big 12, spread offenses, just different from what we are used to in the Big 10, kind of lining up in pro style, primarily offenses. But, I think the advantage in this game is going to be the Iowa offensive line. And I think our offense is going to be hard to stop. But, we'll control the ball. And if Iowa State isn't able to hit some big plays, which is typically not what we allow, I think it's going to be hard for them to match us. I think the Hawkeyes are going to win this game. I think it's going to be close. Every Hawkeye game is close. I mean, we never get blown out, but we never blow anybody out either. So
right,
we make easy games look hard, and vice versa. But so I think the Hawkeyes win. I think their kicker, I think, hit a 55-yard field goal last week. So we got a good kicker that could win the game at the end. And weather's always an X factor in the Midwest. In the fall. But I feel like the Hawkeyes are going to win a close one, but it's going to be sort of a 27-24 type game.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna be the contrary dude here. I'm gonna take Iowa State. Wow. Yeah, I'll bet you a good bottle of wine next time I see you in Brussels, wherever I see you next. And
I can't take any gifts or accept any bets. But I look forward to hosting you. Let's just say that.
Well, how about just bragging rights? Listen, I don't. I have no dog in this fight at all. I don't know.
And yet you pick against my team, Bill.
Yeah, I know. I
don't care about the outcome, but I'm not going to.
I feel like I'll play in the political arena here and just Iowa by 10. I mean, does that happen? Has there been
by a million?
Yeah,
Billy, you're. Come on. All right. So let's talk about let's go beyond that game and go into the national. Okay. Who do you predict for the Big Ten champion this year?
Well, this Ohio State team looks good.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And Penn State is always going to be sporty, and Michigan's going to be sporty. The sleeper for me is Illinois. Brett Bielema, teammate of mine at Iowa, has a top-ranked team. I think they could be interesting to watch. He's built a good program, good culture there. He's a winner. He won at Arkansas in the SEC West, which is tough when Alabama and Ole Miss and all those teams were there. Didn't win the league, but he was 8-win teams. That's impressive. And certainly won 3 straight Big Ten championships while he was at Wisconsin. So, that would be my dark horse. But I'm taking one of the big 3. I haven't seen enough football, to be honest with you, but certainly those teams will be there.
I agree.
Former SMU assistants Archie McDaniel and Justin Stepp on that staff for Burt. So good guys to root for.
He is a really good dude. I mean, I really like him. I mean, we went and visited him when we were designing our stadium, and a great guy. Yeah. So I tell you what, Ohio State looked really good against Texas this weekend. And I think Penn State.
And they made Arch Manning look like Uncle Rico.
Oh my God! I felt sorry for Arch. The poor guy has had the limelight on him since he was, literally like 15 years old. Yeah. And to have him, did you see that clip of Peyton and Eli Manning when Arch threw the pick and it showed Peyton and Eli. And Peyton said he's fucking adopted. I swear, Bill. Oh, it was so harsh. It was so harsh. So I kind of feel bad.
Texas fans for you.
Yeah. Anyway, so so the Big Ten. I'm going to probably go with Ohio State and maybe and Penn State. I mean, they're both so good. You thinking the same thing, Billy?
Yeah, Ohio State just looks really good. I mean, I don't see that team not winning the Big Ten right now. I mean,
it's a lot of tough games, though. I mean, this is
100%,
the thing about
100%.
this. You got to, every week you got to show up, and everybody's gunning for you.
Yep. No
Okay,
question.
let's go national championship now. So I could have you try to predict what the ACC is going to look like. I don't think you probably follow it quite as closely as I do, but
not until now.
So is Miami still in the ACC? Because
Yeah.
I saw a little bit of their highlights, and they look improved. Let's just use that word.
Not only Miami, they look fast as shit against Notre Dame, which is actually, pretty amazing. That even Florida State beat the crap out of Alabama.
Yeah, saw that too.
Which is amazing. So I'm going to go with SMU winning the ACC only because I'm a homer. But we got runner-up last year on a 56-yard field goal by a freshman kicker while we were playing essentially on a Clemson home field, essentially. All right, so let's go national championship, national champions this year. Who do you predict?
Well, I mean, I think Georgia is always going to be really good. But, since the Big Ten has won the last two national championships, and I'm trying to think who's going to come out of the Big 12. I mean, I don't see any teams that are going to be, elite at that level.
Who cares? Can I just say one thing about the Big 12? Who cares? Seriously.
You've got to get on board with that.
Yeah, I know. I'm not going to explore this psychologically for you, Bill, because. But anyway, the long story short is, I think ultimately, I think the team's good. I think the next national champion is going to be one of those. It's going to be Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan. One of those teams. But I just have not watched enough college football, and it's we're 1 week into it, so we'll see.
Well, you're 100% distracted with a lot of really, really important things going on in your world.
Yeah.
How many NATO countries have you been to?
I was just in Slovenia yesterday. Last week I was in Lithuania. Like I said, I was in. I've probably been to 10 or 12 right now. I haven't actually counted. Going to Italy this weekend for a conference.
That sounds miserable.
Yeah.
I really feel bad for you. By the way, for the listening, we could go on and on, Matt, forever. For the listening audience, when Matt took this job as ambassador, one thing that most people don't realize is when you can take a job as an ambassador, you pretty much have to stay in the country that you're an ambassador for like 49 weeks out of a 52-week year. And one of the great things about being the NATO ambassador is you have how many countries can you go to? All the NATO countries.
So including the United States, there's 32 members of NATO.
Yeah. So I forgot. Yeah. So
pretty good.
You're
chess, not checkers, right there.
It's not like you're confined. It's not like you're confined to say Ireland or Italy or France or whatever. I mean, you get to actually experience it all. So it's got to make it better.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the work is fascinating. Having done the summit where we got 5% of GDP on defense, was a critical win, and now the president's made me responsible for selling U.S. weapons to our NATO allies they can provide to Ukraine. So I'm involved in that, and every day, we spent all day today in meetings talking about. European defense and the war in Ukraine and all those issues. So,
well, I tell you what, it's probably
big remit, but I'm enjoying it for sure.
It's probably really great for you to talk a little bit about college football just to take your mind.
It's been amazing.
Just for a moment.
Every week sound good.
All right, so
I'm not going to be a third guest host, but I enjoy.
I'll tell you what, I am going to be and stay in touch with you by texting for sure, but. And I'll keep you apprised of what's happening. And we may pull you in late in the season for maybe like the Big Ten championship, or maybe it'd be super fun. So great to see you, Matt. You look fantastic. I love your barber, and it's just and I don't know.
It takes a lot of work, as you can imagine.
Yes, it does. I get it, man. I just is that Brussels in your background? What is that?
Yes, that is the Mont des Arts, which is the kind of where all the museums and the like, and then the old city hall is the tower behind me. I don't know which side it's on.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. It is.
We'll do our next podcast from the steps over there. So
Yeah,
that would be fun. Yeah, we should
be
do
really
that.
fun. Yeah. Okay, brother. Thank you so much.
All
Thanks for what you do for our country, and go Hawkeyes.
Thank you, Matt.
Go Hawks. Thank you.
Okay. See ya.
Thanks for listening to the On the Pony Express podcast with Billy Embody. Follow us on your socials on X at SMU3 and on Instagram at On3SMU. And keep it locked to OnThePonyExpress.com for more coverage.